Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. April 11th, 2018.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
Okay, later this hour, my friends, Rhino Ryan says bye-bye. Paul the Rat Ryan, deserting a sinking ship, now says he's not seeking re-election. We're going to discuss that later this hour. But first, I want to have at least one more segment on this. A war now is looming on the horizon. Trump has come out and tweeted, the president has, warning Vladimir Putin directly, the missiles are coming, get ready. And the media, which desperately wants him to get into a war in Syria, is now playing their own game with the president. So basically, he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't. Because what they're now claiming is, if he does strike Syria, that's just wag the dog. That the reason why the president is doing this is to distract from Stormy Daniels, is to distract from Michael Cohen, to distract from Robert Mueller, from possible impeachment. And so he's using a war to deflect attention from all of his domestic troubles at home. If he doesn't bomb Syria, they're saying, well, he's impotent, he's ineffective, he's allowed this war crime to go unpunished, and hence he's an absolutely horrible leader who has failed as a foreign policy chief, as a statesman, and as a world leader on the global stage. So if he bombs, he's damned. If he doesn't bomb, he's damned. The media already is trying to have it both ways. Listen now to Mika Brzezinski on Morning Joe. Already, the missiles haven't even been flying yet. Not even one bomb has hit Syria yet. Already, this, according to her, is wag the dog. Roll it, Brittany.
We have now seen 2 negative tweets towards Vladimir Putin in a week. Something may be changing inside that head of his.
Joe was saying that something might be changing in his head. I don't think anything changes. I think he tweets to deflect. And I think a lot of the president's actions often can be seen as a massive deflection. But we have only deflected for 10 minutes. We're going to take a break.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, really, when you think about it, it's absolutely unbelievable. So I want you to think about this. This is the same media that's been saying Trump is in the back pocket of Putin. Trump is an agent of the Kremlin. Trump colluded with Putin. That Putin and Trump got together to steal the election from Hillary Clinton, and basically Trump is Putin's poodle. Now that he's on the verge of hammering Putin's proxy in Syria, Bashar Assad, maybe killing, I don't know, maybe God knows, killing Russian soldiers, shooting down Russian planes, punching Putin right in the face. All of a sudden now, what happened to the Russia collusion story? What happened to that narrative? And in fact, I even mentioned this to Brittany before we did our show today. I said, Brittany, have you noticed nobody has been tougher on Vladimir Putin than Donald J. Trump? I mean, just objectively, you just stand back. Who is the man that rebuilt our military? Trump did. Who is the one that has now sent defensive lethal weapons to Ukraine? Trump did. Who is the one that has unleashed our oil and energy production, driving down the price of global oil, which is the very lifeline of the Putin regime? Trump did. Who is the one now that is threatening to bomb Syria, and in particular, bomb Putin's client in Syria, Bashar Assad, Donald J. Trump? So if I'm Vladimir Putin, all I now see is a resurgent American military. America now is an energy superpower. Ukraine now armed to the teeth because of us. He's done nothing to advance Russia's national interests. In fact, it's the very opposite. So what are they going to say now? I mean, really, when the bombs start flying, what are they going to say now? that this is all part of some master conspiracy. You see, he's going to war with Putin, and he's going to war with Russia to show that he's not the agent of Russia. Because, you know, Vladimir Putin really wants a war with the United States. That was Vladimir's plan all along. Wee you. And so what even now some Trump supporters are suggesting, I don't believe it personally, but what many of them are suggesting is maybe that's one of the reasons why Trump is going ahead with this. Because he's got Mueller breathing down his neck. Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russia collusion. That's all you keep hearing from the mainstream media. Well, now, if he bombs Syria into the Stone Age, destroys Assad's military, maybe gets some Russians killed and shoots down Russian planes, and we get to the brink of a world war with the Russians, you cannot claim collusion after this. And so let me throw one more log on the fire. Do you think, you know, like a stop clock is right twice a day, do you think that this may be wag the dog? Is this Trump trying to deflect from his domestic problems? I honestly don't think so, but I want to ask you, maybe you think it is. 617-266-6868. Okay, lines are loaded. Rich in Brighton, you're up next. Thanks for holding, Rich, and welcome.
Jesus, Jeff, between you and all the callers, you all hit on all my talking points. Definitely, I am a no-go on the bombing of Syria. It's no coincidence that Trump said just a few days ago that he wanted to pull out of there, and then this happens. I think it's totally bogus, and I don't believe it. And it's definitely a no-win situation either way he goes on it, because the Democrats are just going to be on the opposite side of whichever way he goes and try to turn it into a political thing. So I think he should err on the side of caution. This isn't something he's not going to do it just to deflect. This isn't something he's going to make a decision on by himself. He has a team of people around him to make these types of decisions. And, you know, you did touch on one thing about the CIA earlier and not trusting them. They're all part of the deep state as well. Them, the FBI, the Department of Hypocrisy, the Department of Justice. And, they're all in it together, and they all have their own agendas that, they're in positions where they can, have used propaganda to their advantage to achieve their goals.
Rich, I completely agree with you. Honestly, very well said. Thank you for that call. That's why I'm strongly advising the president for two reasons, okay? To go to Congress. Number one, for the most important reason, if you're going to go to war, that is the legal, constitutional right thing to do. I am sick and tired of all these undeclared wars. These illegal, unconstitutional wars. So, number one, yes, you're the commander-in-chief, but you need an authorization. You need Congress's approval if you're going to get us involved in a new war in Syria. That's number one. Number two, for political reasons. Because if you go alone, if the president acts unilaterally, Congress can wash their hands of this. The Democrats can say, oh, no. Yeah, we were calling for airstrikes, but not this. Yeah, we were calling for bombing, but not this. So you give them the opportunity to stab you in the back and turn on you the moment the American public does. That's why have them vote. Put every single member of Congress on the record, yay or nay. Da or niet? Yes or no? Are you in or are you out? And this way, if things do go sour in Syria, he can turn around and say, well, don't look at me. Republicans and Democrats voted for it. And I think one of the reasons why, just like Obama did not want to go to Congress when he was contemplating bombing Syria, because the American public are going to overwhelmingly say, niet, no. The American people do not want this war. And so if Trump goes to Congress, he's not going to get the authorization. And I think that's one of the reasons why the generals are telling him, forget Congress, start bombing within 24 to 48 hours. Let's start bombing, let the bombs fall, and we'll deal with the fallout later. So my advice to the president is this. The American people can save you from an impending disaster. All you have to say is, I wanted to teach Assad a lesson. Oh, I was going to smack Putin right in the mouth. But Congress, they just wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. No matter what happens, Congress should vote on this. If he doesn't get an authorization from Congress, this to me is an unconstitutional and illegal war. Like the war in Libya under Obama was illegal and unconstitutional. 617-266-6868. Hillary in Maryland. You're up next. Go ahead, Hillary.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi.
This is why I was concerned about John Bolton getting appointed. I know I don't want to, offend anybody in Kuhner country, but because I know he was a guest every Friday. But he was part of the Bush administration and the neocon kind of warmonger side of things. And I don't mean to speak out of turn, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but every time I'm hearing you make all these great points and all the other callers, and I got to wonder, with how many people he has around him, I'm wondering if he's getting to hear this. And I was just going to beg you, for the love of God, if you have any way of communicating with him, if you could just pass this stuff on to him. I know some people listen to the show from the White House, but I feel like this is crucial, kind of really ultra-important stuff. If you could get kind of word to him, just kind of give him a temperature of what his constituents are saying. You just put everything so beautifully. I guess I was just praying that you might have some sort of line of communication to the White House. You could
Hillary, let me just say this then. I was going to say between you and me, but the whole audience is hearing this. I've been behind back channels. I have been trying to warn them not to do this. I'm going to be writing a column on this right after the show. I'm going to be sending it off to people in the White House. I'm hoping that Kuhner Country, I think the column will be up probably tomorrow morning, but Kuhner Country responds and sends it out to as many people on Facebook, on social media, to get the word out before it's too late. Now, just so that you know, I invited Bolton as National Security Advisor to come on the show. And he knows my position on this. And I said, let's come on and have a debate, because he's a big war hawk on this issue. I didn't hear anything from his people. So when he was National Security Advisor, he was begging to come on every Friday. Now that he's National Security Advisor and we're on the cusp of war, and I want him to debate me, and I say, I'll give you as much time as you want. I go, I never will cut you off. I'll give you 5 minutes to 1 minute. Okay? Just whatever you want. You take as much time as you need. But let's debate the merits of this. And I haven't heard back from his people.
He kind of used you to kind of put his name out there.
I'm not saying that. I don't want to go that far, but I'm just telling you that, I challenged him to a debate. I still challenge him to a debate, and he won't come on my show. So, now, he may be just too busy because, when you're planning a war, you don't have time to go on radio talk shows. Sure. So, I'm not accusing the guy or challenging his motives. I'm just saying I find it interesting that now that he's National Security Advisor and we're 48 to 72 hours away from a major war that he's pushing for, that, I want him on, I want to debate him, I want to challenge him, and suddenly now, his press people, literally, anytime I emailed them, within 30 seconds, I get a response. Wow. Now it's crickets, Hillary.
It's kind of very telling.
Well, that to me says a lot. So anyway, thank you for that call. So I don't know if they're willing to debate this in public. I'm just being honest with you. I don't know if they have the intellectual self-confidence that they claim that they have on this issue. 617-266-6868. I'm just being honest with you. Mr. Garcia. Go ahead, Mr. Garcia in New Jersey.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Garcia.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Kuhner?
Please call me Jeff. I'm not that important.
Okay, thank you. In November in 2016, I came a Republican. I was a Democrat all my life. Yeah, I believe Donald Trump should not be in war because we are in danger. We are very in danger. And Russia can fight back very strong. Yeah, I'm very scared. And I love Donald Trump very well, but we should not go to war. I love you, Mr. Kuhner, all my respect because I came Republican because you, my first time to become a Republican. I'm very scared because I never talk on radio, but I'm very happy.
You're doing fine. Mr. Garcia, you're doing fine. And
I love you very much, and this is my first time voting for. Also, Kuhner, I want to ask you a question. Who you think who's going to win in New Jersey, Republican? Because we have this guy, Bill, and I believe Bob Ewing. And I don't know if he's going to win or he's going. It's very tough in New Jersey.
Oh, I know. No, Mr. Garcia, thank you very much for that call, and I appreciate your thoughts and your prayers. It means a lot to me. Look, honestly, I look at New Jersey now. I don't want to get sidetracked. Sort of like Massachusetts. It's very, very difficult, almost impossible for a Republican to win. So it's going to be very tough for any Republican, but I don't want to get sidetracked. I was a big supporter of the president. I'm still a very big supporter of the president. I believe in his America First agenda. I think it's the people's agenda. And at the heart, let me strip away everything. The heart of the Trumpian agenda was this. And I think this is what distinguished him from all the other Republicans, even Ted Cruz, who I also liked a lot, and Rand Paul, who I also like a lot. But I think this is what distinguished him from all the other Republicans in the primary. Number one, we are going to finally conclusively secure the border with a wall, with the U.S. military, with whatever needs to be done. So he's going to secure the border. Number two, that we are going to restore America's industrial might, that the outsourcing of our manufacturing and jobs through these horrible free trade deals, whether it be with NAFTA, Mexico, China, wherever, would come to an end. America first on immigration, America first on trade, and the third one, the third pillar, okay, the triumvirate, was that he was going to put an end to all of these endless wars in the Middle East. He said it again and again. Iraq was a mistake. Libya was a mistake. The Arab Spring was a mistake. Nation building is a mistake. And if you remember, he kept saying, stay out of Syria. In fact, what was he saying? I want better relations with Russia. What are we seeing now? We're on the verge of him reversing that very seminal plank and principle. We're on the verge now of a major war in the Middle East, of a major war in Syria, and a possible confrontation with Russia itself. It's almost like the deep state has hijacked his foreign policy. And that's why what I want is the Donald Trump that we campaigned for and that we elected. America first. On trade, on immigration, and on foreign policy. And America first, to me, says, stay out of Syria. 126 here on the great WRKO. Okay, Brett in the... Whoa, from the great state of Hawaii in Honolulu. Brett, thanks for holding and welcome.
Aloha, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. Mahalo, my friend. Mahalo.
Hey, one comment I got to make is, I remember about 3 years ago when President Obama was contemplating doing something in Syria, and everybody was screaming, where's our national security interest in Syria? Why are you doing this? We don't have no stake in Syria as far as national security. We shouldn't be doing this, yet I don't hear that now. So it's kind of baffling, and I think you made the point correctly. Trump's decision to pull those troops out has the war machine and those people that are going to benefit from us staying there, screaming bloody murder that we need to stay in. And I wouldn't be surprised. You make some great points about Bashads and who benefits from launching the chemical warfare attack that happened. It just baffles me that 3 years ago, everybody was screaming we shouldn't get involved because there's no national security interest, and now nobody's saying that at all. It's all, we got to get in, we got to get in, we got to stop Assad.
No, I know. And Brett, listen, thank you very much for that call. I appreciate it. Look, that's what I ultimately find frightening, is that we're almost being dragooned, rushed into a war, and people are not thinking through the consequences. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. If it's a few, Tomahawk missiles, I don't think it's the end of the world. But if this is what they're talking about, I can only go by what they're talking about, which is what Mattis, Bolton, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff want, which is to decimate, destroy Assad's air force completely, and then decimate his ability to wage war. That's a major confrontation. That's a major conflict. That's a war. And it doesn't serve our interests. I don't think it serves, frankly, the interests of Syria. It doesn't serve the interests of the Middle East. And to me, what's even more dangerous is, what if the Russians are for real? What if they start shooting down our planes? What if we start shooting down their planes? I mean, is Syria worth a World War III? I don't think so. So to me, we are playing with fire. And I'm not even talking now about the Gulf of Tonkin. Look at World War I. It began in Sarajevo, Bosnia, a faraway country that nobody had even heard of. And because all the great powers got involved, before you knew it, we were all rushing at each other's throats. That's why I say, hands off Syria. It's not worth the bones of one American soldier. Okay, I'm going to continue to take your calls, I promise. But also, coming up next, bye-bye, and don't let the door hit you on the way out. Paul Rhino Ryan calls it quits after 20 years, says he's now officially retiring. What does this mean for the Republicans? What does this mean for the midterms? And what does this mean for the president? That story, more of your calls next. But first, there's early speculation about who could replace Paul Ryan as House Speaker. Evan Heidenrich is in the WRKO newsroom. He's got the latest details on this breaking story. What are they, Evan? 1:35 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, my friends, the rumors were swirling around Capitol Hill for months. Paul Rhino Ryan, or in this case, the Rat Ryan, now like a rat deserting a sinking ship, months before the midterm elections, with many people predicting a quote-unquote blue wave that may sweep the Republicans from power. Ryan bails on his colleagues, on his party, and on the president. He made it official today. He is retiring. He is no longer going to be seeking re-election in November. His days as a politician are over. Roll it, Brittany.
You all know that I did not seek this job. I took it reluctantly, but I have given this job everything that I have. And I have no regrets whatsoever for having accepted this responsibility. This has been one of the two greatest honors of my life. The job provides incredible opportunities. But the truth is, it's easy for it to take over everything in your life. And you can't just let that happen. Because there are other things in life that can be fleeting as well. Namely, your time as a husband and a dad, which is the other great honor of my life. That's why today I am announcing that this year will be my last one as a member of the House. To be clear, I am not resigning. I intend to full my served term as I was elected to do. But I will be retiring in January, leaving this majority in good hands with what I believe is a very bright future. It's almost hard to believe, but I have been a member of Congress for almost 2 decades. This is my 20th year in Congress. My kids weren't even born when I was first elected. Our oldest was 13 years old when I became Speaker. Now, all 3 of our kids are teenagers. And one thing I've learned about teenagers is their idea of an ideal weekend is not necessarily to spend all of their time with their parents. What I realize is, if I am here for one more term, my kids will only have ever known me as a weekend dad.
Okay. I'll be honest with you. I don't believe him. I don't believe him. When I was at the Washington Times for 10 years, overseeing our White House and congressional coverage, every time one of these sleazy politicians retires or resigns or whatever, it's always, quote unquote, for family time. It's always for, quote unquote, the wife and the kids, or the husband and the kids. It's always for family reasons. No. Let me tell you what I think is obvious. He has run the Republican Party into the ground. And by the way, did you notice? I didn't ask for this job. I reluctantly took on this job. Almost like, we begged him to be House Speaker. It was almost like, hey, I really don't want this. I really don't want this. I don't want to be the most powerful member in Congress. I really don't want to be the head honcho. I really don't. But, to do all of you a favor, okay. I mean, like, noblesse oblige. Like, he's doing us a favor. This is incredible. So, let me tell you what's going on. He reads the polls like everybody else. This is the do-nothing Congress. This is the guy who almost single-handedly is responsible for why we could not repeal and replace Obamacare. He is the one who sat down with President Trump and said, no. You can't do tax cuts first. You can't do the border wall, Mr. President. You can't do anything. We have to do Obamacare first. And you're going to let me lead it because I've been thinking about this for years. So he was the one who wrote that first bill, if you remember, the repeal and replace Obamacare bill that was basically written by the lobbyists. And it blew up in his face and it blew up in the Republican Party's face. And so they then weren't able to pass Obamacare. And God knows how many months were lost and how much time was lost because of this man's ineffective, disastrous leadership. The only thing they managed to get through under him was the tax reform. And even then, it wasn't him that did the heavy lifting. And outside of that, they did absolutely nothing. In fact, he spent most of his time preventing Trump from being able to fund or build his wall along the southern border. On almost every major issue, he opposed Trump. The renegotiation of NAFTA, there was Ryan O'Ryan. The border wall, as I've mentioned, there was Ryan O'Ryan. Defunding sanctuary cities, Trump wanted to defund them. Ryan made sure they were funded. Obamacare, fully funded, thanks to Paul Ryan O'Ryan. Planned Parenthood, fully funded, thanks to Paul Ryan O'Ryan. So what he was not just a creature of the swamp, but he was the agent of the swamp. And in particular, he served the donor class. And he served the Chamber of Commerce. That was his mission. And his mission was to block, obstruct, undermine, and subvert Trump's presidency at every turn. And now that he's essentially blocked Trump's agenda, and his base feels demoralized, depressed, and disgusted, while the resistance, the anti-Trump resistance, is now fully mobilized and galvanized, now when he sees the poll numbers and the writing on the wall that he's going to get shellacked in November, that it will be Speaker Pelosi unless things dramatically turn around, rather than him face that defeat, go down with the sinking ship, admit that he's responsible for why the Republicans are loathed and despised by their base because they keep betraying their base, and he was Judas number one. Now all of a sudden, he's jumping ship. I told you, he's like a rat Ryan. So now all of a sudden, I didn't want to do this job, but you guys forced it on me, and it just took up too much of my time, and I want to spend time with Junior before Junior turns 16, 17, and I just want to spend more time with my family. No. It's already being reported. What do you think Ryan O'Ryan's going to become after January of next year? He's still staying in Washington, you phony, you fraud, you. Except this time, he's cashing in. Or cashing out, however you want to phrase it. Now he's going to become a high-paid lobbyist. Now, show me the money. I did everything you wanted me to do. Now show me the money. It's not enough that his wife is a Democratic lobbyist and they're already worth millions. No, because they're so freaking greedy in Washington, D.C. No. It's always more and more and more. So now he's going to become a mercenary, a high-paid mercenary lobbyist for the Chamber of Commerce and for every other major corporation that he serviced and took care of while he was House Speaker and while he was a member of Congress. And now I scratched your back. Now, there it is. Scratch it good. Good. Oh, you missed a spot down there. You missed a spot. There you go. Oh, that is the spot. He sold his party and his country down the river to line his pockets. And this guy's acting like I don't know what, like he's George Washington. And notice, they're always hiding behind their family. They always use their family as a crutch or as a shield. You know what? If you really, really cared about your family, maybe then you wouldn't be a lobbyist. Maybe you wouldn't be spending so much time in Washington, D.C. I'm just saying, I mean, your wife is loaded already. I don't know what. You can write books. You can spend a lot of time with the kids if you want to. So this is the man who, to me, is the epitome of the rhino Republicans. He is the epitome of the GOP establishment. He lied to his voters. He betrayed his base. He betrayed the president. And now, look, everybody's praising him. Now, notice, now they love him. Now, Chuck Schumer has come out and said, oh, I admire Ryan. He's so honest, straightforward, somebody you could really trust. Sure. He teamed up with you to block the president at every turn. He was part of the Republican resistance to Trump. He was your Judas. And for 30 pieces of silver, I think it's going to be more like 30 million, okay? $30 million in the end. But anyway, for his 30 pieces of silver, with the kiss on the cheek, he basically helped to crucify the president's agenda. That's what he did. And so my response is, don't let the door hit you on the way out. But that little rat wants to do it now. So when November rolls around, like Pontius Pilate, he can wash his hands and say, don't look at me. Don't look at me. So the question I have for you is this. It is the Kelly Financial Poll question du jour, as the French would say, of the day. Are you happy Paul Ryan isn't seeking re-election? Yes. That's my answer. Yes. If you believe the answer is yes, it's A. If you believe the answer is no, B. You can vote on my Twitter page at the Kuhner Report, Kuhner, or go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Already now, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who is just to me another Paul Ryan clone. He now wants to succeed Rhino Ryan. Steve Scalise, the House Whip, he now wants to succeed Paul Rhino Ryan. There are other candidates throwing their hats in the ring. Here is what I would like to see. To me, McCarthy is just, you're more of the same. Scalise, I can live with him. He's a little better than McCarthy, but here's what I would truly want. Give me Jim Jordan from Ohio. Give me Mark Meadows from North Carolina. Give me somebody from the Freedom Caucus and have a real conservative as Speaker of the House. Somebody who's going to work with Trump to pass his America First agenda. Because if we can get somebody that's really working with the president, they can still snatch victory from the jaws of defeat in November. Somebody that will defund sanctuary cities, defund Obamacare, defund Planned Parenthood, somebody that will help fund the border wall. And you'll be amazed at what happens in November. Republicans will then keep the House, keep the Senate, and the president will be safe, and I think we'll sail on to re-election and victory in 2020. Who would you like to see replace Paul Rhino Ryan, and what do you make of his decision to retire? Good, bad, will you miss him? Because I certainly won't. 617-266-6868. Aaron in New Hampshire, you're up next. Go ahead, Aaron.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, Aaron.
I find this hilarious. So let me get something straight. Paul Ryan has been Speaker of the House since 2013, and he's never wanted the job? How good are you going to be at your job if you don't want to be there, if you don't want the job in the first place? And how many other politicians are out there and really don't want the job? I want to help the American people, but I don't want to help them that much. You know, only in America can you lie, steal, rob, undermine the president, get rich off the American people, and then have the opportunity to write your own story and go out as a martyr on your very last.
That's right. And play the victim.
It's unbelievable.
He's the victim.
Anyway.
I mean, no, Aaron, you said it. Honestly, I drop the mic, baby. Thank you for that call. Really. Only in America. Honestly, he's completely only in America. I love the way he phrased it. Can you shaft your voters, shaft your party, make millions of dollars, undermine your own president, and then now really make millions and millions of dollars, and suddenly, and you're the victim. I didn't see little Jimmy grow up. Paul Jr., what happened to the years with Paul Jr.? All the softball games. Oh, it's all the barbecues, the weekend. It's all gone now. I mean, it's incredible. 617-266-6868. Okay, let's go to Ben on Cape Cod, who apparently has worked in Syria. Is that true, Ben?
Well, the Mediterranean.
The Mediterranean, okay.
Yeah, I was there in 1973 on a fast attack submarine when the war broke out between Israel and Egypt, and we were called to sea immediately. And the last thing we had heard was that Russian troops were moving into Egypt. So this situation can escalate really quick. And I agree with you. I think it's a big mistake for him to strike at all. Because I'll tell you what's happening now. We've got a task force moving that way. The Russians probably have submarines in that area. We have submarines that could possibly launch a Tomahawk attack. And you never know what kind of an accident can happen. It's a very tense situation, and it's pretty obvious that Putin is flexing his muscle. I believe he's trying to regain everything they lost from the breakup of the Soviet Union.
Ben, what do you think, as somebody who knows the area very well, obviously, do you think that in the end, you think Putin will stand by and allow Assad's military to be decimated? Or do you think he's going to be forced to have to respond to defend his ally?
Yeah, I think he'll respond. And, this goes back decades. Well, first of all, the Russians have been after Crimea for 300 or 400 years. The Ukraine, they do not have a warm water port. They never have. They have no access to the open ocean. I mean, even the Mediterranean isn't the open ocean, but they have no access. They leave the north out of Murmansk, which is cold water, and they need a port. And you said that before. Syria is a very strategic position for them. And I do believe that he will retaliate some way. He may shoot down a plane, or if it's a submarine attack with no aircraft, I don't know what could happen, but I can guarantee you that there are submarines in that area right now on both sides.
Scary. Very scary. Ben, thank you very much for that very informed call. I appreciate it. Take care. 617-266-6868. Okay. Paul the Rat Ryan doesn't go down with the ship. He now abandons the sinking ship. What do you make of Paul Ryan's decision to retire? And is this a bad foreboding? Does this now foreshadow a blue wave and a Republican slaughter in November? Are the rats now deserting the sinking Republican ship? 617-266-6868. More with your calls next. Paul Ryan makes it official. He is retiring at the end of his term. There will be a new House Speaker race to now see who will succeed him. And my question is, are you happy that he's not seeking re-election? Or will you miss the Rhino Ryan? 617-266-6868. Lines are blazing. Paul in Dorchester, you're up next. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome. Hello, Paul. Okay, let's go to Eric in New Hampshire. Eric, you're up next. Thanks for holding, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Eric.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Eric?
Great show. 2 quick questions.
Yes.
When is Paul Ryan's book coming out? And when is his historic interview with Stephanopoulos going to be on some random Sunday night?
Oh, touche.
Talk to you later.
Eric, touche. I'm going to talk about this, by the way, in the next hour. Comey has completed an interview which is going to air later this week with Stephanopoulos, where he compares Trump, I swear to you, to a mob boss. So he's hawking his book, and now he's comparing the president to basically a mafiosi, a mobster. So mark my words, okay? He's going to come out with a book, Rhino Ryan, and he's going to do a dump on Trump tour. Guaranteed. He's going to, what I really think about the president, what I really thought about him behind the scenes. And so he's going to do basically a hit job on Trump, and then he's going to be a hero in the mainstream media. And he's going to do the whole rounds, just like James Comey. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but Comey is already looking for Hollywood scripts to make a movie out of his book and out of his life. And he wants George Clooney to play him in a Hollywood movie. I don't know who Paul Ryan would like to see him play. Maybe Ryan would like to see, I don't know, Tom Cruise play him or something. But everybody now is going to be hawking a book, and everybody wants a movie deal. John in Needham, I've got 1 minute. The floor is yours. Go.
Jeff, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Listen, Ryan's a rat, but as far as Syria goes, it's a lose-lose situation for Trump, and I got a win-win situation for both us and Russia. If he calls Putin and says, listen, let's go in together, get rid of all the radicals, get rid of all those chemical weapons, find out who did this atrocity, and stabilize the country and pull out. And and I'll bet you that'll send a message to North Korea. Geez, China might team up with him against me. But let's get together with Putin. I'm telling you, that's the only way out.
John, thank you very much for that call. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think Russia on some big issues, radical Islam being one of them, China being another, is a natural ally. And say what you want about Vladimir Putin, he's not a globalist, he is a nationalist. And I think ultimately that's why the New World Order elites hate him. Okay, bombshell story developing as I speak. I'll have that for you. And Robert Mueller, the Republicans now tell Trump, you fire him, you cross our red line, and we will impeach you. That story, more of your calls next.
The voice of Boston is you. On 680 WRKO Boston, an iHeart radio station. It's 2 o'clock.